Shalom, testing. Shalom, testing. All right, beautiful. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakadash. All right, double honors to the apostles and the bishops and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And I've taught me this word in truth and sincerity. All right, peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, I'm your fellow servant of Moth of GMS Toronto, coming at you again with a live lesson. Another live lesson, and it's going to be another edition of Doomsday Prophecies. All right, and this one I'm going to, as I have entitled, I have laid a snare for thee, Babylon. Okay, the I being the Heavenly Father Yahweh, who the world ignorant calls God, and His only begotten Son, who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai. Okay, so I have laid a snare for thee, O Babylon. Okay, so let's just get right into it. And this lesson is inspired from the brother's video here, Arrows of Indignation 144. So listen up.
The US dollar has no value. It's not backed against gold or silver. What the US has is the petrodollar. The US worked out deals to make the US dollar the international currency for oil trade across the globe. So if we are not trading oil in dollars, the US has a major problem because our dollar has no value without the strength of the petrodollar. Our government would collapse if people stopped trading in USD with oil. So when Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz, they made an alluding to that. They said, hey, if your oil and liquid natural gases are not being traded in USD, any other currency, especially the Chinese yuan, with the rise of BRICS, will let your ships through. They are actively trying to devalue the United States dollar because they understand that if oil is not being traded in USD.
Oh, I did forget to say fair use, fair use, fair use. All right, I'm not receiving any monetization for the video whatsoever. I'm only sharing this video for educational purposes only. Fair use, fair use. A little late, but hopefully it's fine.
US dollar is worth nothing because it's not backed against anything. This is also why we went into Venezuela. In case y'all didn't know, Maduro was going to start selling oil to China, but using the yuan. He was going to stop using USD. And that's when the decision was made very quickly to go in and take him out of power and try to get American oil companies to Venezuela to take over oil extraction and processing there to keep it in USD. Because if we start losing those trades using the US dollar, we lose value of our dollar, which will cause an economic collapse or at least a massive recession. So
Yep,
now
that's true. So let's get two precepts real quick before we continue on in the video. This is all prophecy, man. Kafala Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right. No matter what kind of hell we catch, our hope is in prophecy, man. And we're seeing prophecy manifest right before our eyes. And it's invigorating. Okay. So this is Jeremiah 50 and 24. Get right to the point here. All right, so Jeremiah 50 and 24, it says, I have laid a snare for thee. All right, this is where I got the title of the lesson. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast strived against the Lord. Okay, so these events that are taking place upon America, aka Babylon, okay, prophetically, Babylon the Great, and spiritually as well, okay, and as well as prophetically and spiritually Egypt, are happening because of the striving, all right, against the Lord, Yahweh, who the world even calls God. All right, when you look at America, all right, they swear every president in by the Bible, but they have lied, cheated, and went against every single thing, all right, written in the scriptures, every single president. So Babylon is a prophetic place of judgment that the Bible speaks about. America, Slake, is a that the Bible speaks about. All right, you might hear it as Babylon or Egypt. Okay, So in the NLT, it says what? Listen, Babylon, for I have set a trap for you. You are caught, for you have fought against the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Okay, and that's also starting with the prophets. Okay, because the prophets are some of the prophets are going to be martyrs on the land of Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay, and there's a hefty price of judgment to pay. All right, slaying the prophets of the Lord when that time comes, but also the demonization, right, of the prophets of the Lord who speak the truth. Okay, so the judgment that's coming upon America and and the 2/3 that are in America and the rest of the Americans, all right, everybody outside of the whole full elect. Okay, it's because that whole country and the rest of the world will get their judgment too, has strived against the Lord. Okay, that's the mecca of all wickedness on the planet Earth right now. I'll probably put the so-called Holy Land right along with it. Okay, so let's go to Jeremiah. Next one, Jeremiah 51, and let's start at 12. Okay, Jeremiah 51 and 12. It says here, set up a standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare an ambush, for the Lord Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he speaketh against the inhabitants of Babylon. Okay, prophetically America. And the NLT it says, raise the battle flag against Babylon, reinforce the guard, and station the watchmen. Prepare an ambush, for the Lord Yahweh will fulfill all his plans against Babylon. And this is what we're witnessing. We're witnessing the Lord fulfill his plans, which are prophecies, right, against Babylon, aka America. That's what's going on. That's why these events are taking place, all right, not only across the four corners of the earth, but especially with America in America. Okay. It says, verse 13, O thou that dwelleth upon the many waters, abundant in treasure, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Okay, just like the writing was on the wall, all right, by the finger of an angel, in ancient Babylon. Same thing is the writing on the wall spiritually, all right, is here for America, aka Babylon the Great. Okay, so like I'm just reading this in NLT as well. It's actually pretty good. It says, "You are a city by a great river, a great center of commerce." Okay, but your end has come. The thread of your life is cut. Damn, there you go. The thread of your life is cut. Yeah, because Babylon the Great, America is hanging by a thread right now. Okay, America is hanging by a thread right now, and it's about to be cut. All right, and that's judgment of the Lord. All right, that's judgment of the Lord, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Let's continue here.
Trump is panicking and demanding that other countries send military aid to the Strait of Hormuz to make sure we can open it up and get it all open. Oh, but we also already destroyed the military, so you guys, don't have to worry. We've already taken out their whole everything. But they might have put mines, so we just need you guys to come and help us out. Why can't y'all handle that? Why do you need other countries to handle that? No, you know that if other countries start to go into an energy crisis because oil isn't moving, if they have to buy oil in a different currency, they will, just to get the oil to their country. And I think this is why Trump wants other countries to get involved to try to keep the status quo. But a lot of the countries are saying absolutely not. We are not going to get involved, even if they don't realize it's about the petrodollar, but they will not get involved as of now. This is really concerning. And this is sad also that Iran is playing a really smart game that Trump and his team had no idea they would play. I do think people were aware that Iran had these cards to play, his whole entire team. But this is a major concern for the longevity of the United States, especially with the cost of this war, how much money we're spending on this war, especially when you hear that we've been borrowing $50 billion a week for the last 5 months. That means we're going to have to pay that money back, or we're going to have to pay back the interest. It's all of a mess. So much money is just being everywhere. But if the US dollar loses value, we have to pay even more in interest, not just us as consumers, but the government itself. That means our dollar, that $1 trillion of debt, would suddenly get higher because the $1 trillion USD doesn't matter anymore because it'll be so devalued. So this is a major issue, and I don't know if it can be resolved. Iran has made it clear this is on their terms, and the more Trump keeps talking about, oh, the Strait of Hormuz is open, it's not. Some ships have already tried to go through and got blown up when you said it was safe. So now nobody wants to move, and insurance companies are not insuring those boats. So you have to wait for the insurance companies to insure the boats before people are going to want to move their boats. And now we also have a problem of oil production has been shut down in a lot of these Gulf countries and Middle Eastern countries because they have nowhere to put it because boats aren't moving. And it takes weeks to months to get those processes back running again once you turn them off. So I don't think Trump ever had a plan to mitigate this, let alone knew what he was doing or what Iran was capable of. But I do think they're starting to realize with this move, it's just a statement, whether Iran's actually doing it or not. If you're trading in anything but USD, other than that, you can go through. I think they're starting to realize what the game is, what Iran is trying to do. And Iran can in the US dollar since it's backing nothing.
So America is finished, right? America is finished. It's not much more to say, right? About Babylon the Great and Trump.
The US dollar has no value. It's not
Trump,
backed against gold.
is looking like the perfect man, to bring America, all right, prophetically, as the Lord said he would give Egypt a cruel leader, a cruel leader, all right, a cruel Lord. And he's looking to be that man, all right, as it stands. So I got two more precepts here. I'm gonna close that out. I didn't want to make this too long, just straightforward to the point. So let's go to Isaiah 19, because Trump's looking like a complete fool, man. He's making himself even more foolish. He's making himself look even more foolish than he already did. Therefore, by making America look completely ass out, all right, ashamed and disgraced among the world. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. It's prophecy. So let's read here Isaiah 19, and I'm actually going to start at 11. Okay, so Isaiah 19:11, it says, "Surely the princes of Zoan are fools, the counsels of the wise counselors of Pharaoh is to become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings," right? This is in the NLT says, "What fools are the officials of Zoan? Their best counsel to the king of Egypt." Okay, and the officials of Zoan prophetically would be basically Trump's administration, okay, which are they see Trump's administration are bought and paid for by the tiny tops. Okay, simply put, they're bought and paid for by the tiny tops. Trump himself is bought and paid for by the tiny tops as Amalek. Okay, those that are in the land proclaim to be the people of the Lord. All right, that's Amalek. Those are the true Amalekites. All right, and that's really who's running America's government. Okay, so Trump doesn't know what the hell's going on, really. He doesn't know that much. All right, he's a puppet. Okay, he's a puppet. So it says, "What fools are the officials of Zoan? Their best counsel to the king of Egypt is stupid and wrong. Will they still boast to Pharaoh of their wisdom? Will they dare brag about all their wise ancestors?" Okay, continuing on, and I'll continue on in the NLT. Actually, it's pretty straightforward. It says, "Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai plans." And see, this is the beautiful thing, all right, about being given this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, is that at the end of the day, the events that are taking place, right? This is Moabite that's getting all types of clout, all right. You know, right now he's having his time, and the rest of everybody takes the sound bites of the prophets, starting with the apostles and the bishops on down. But events are gonna get so extreme that even these men will have no answers whatsoever. Because the only ones that truly know the full plan of Yahweh Bashim Mashai, as far as concerning prophecies in the Bible, are the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Mashai. Okay, so it says, "Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what Yahweh Bashim Shai plans. What what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies is going to do to Egypt. And they can't tell you, okay? Because ultimately they don't fully know. Remember, they don't have a full insight as to what the top wicked elite. See, the top wicked elite, all right, they're done with America. This is why, as the prophecy dictates, the least of the flock shall draw them out. This is why they're drawing out America to war, all right, in hopes of in hopes of having it annihilated by thermonuclear firemen. That's their ultimate goal. But the Lord has put that plan in their hearts. Okay. But these other stooges under them, okay, they don't know. All right. They fully believe that they can actually keep America as a world as a global power, all right, forever. Okay. They have no idea. But anyways, it says, what are your wise counselors? Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what Yahweh Bashim Shai plans, what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies is going to do to Egypt. The officials of Zoan are fools, and the officials of Memphis are deluded. The leaders of the people have led Egypt astray. Okay, the whole government. All right. It says, the Lord Yahweh has sent a spirit of foolishness on them. So right now, every decision Trump is making, all right, and every advice he's getting from his administration, the Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness upon them. So every decision they're going to make is going to backfire on them and the American people. And that's prophecy. Okay? Again, the Lord Yahweh has sent a spirit of foolishness on them. So all their suggestions are wrong. So everything he's listening to, all right, he doesn't know it, but it's to ultimately to bring down, all right, to bring about the destruction and the annihilation of Babylon the Great, aka America, man. This is what the scriptures say. So it says, they cause Egypt to stagger like a drunk in his vomit. And that's what America is looking like right now. Because America, prophetically and spiritually, is Egypt. Okay? It says, there is nothing Egypt can do. All are helpless, and the head and the tail, right? So from the richest to the poorest person, okay? And again, the noble palm branch and the lowly reed, right? Same thing. It's parabolic. In that day, the Egyptians will be as weak as women. They will they will cower in fear beneath the the upraised fist of the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies. Damn. Yo, America's through. Completely through. Okay, last verse it says, just to speak the name of Israel will terrorize them, for the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies has laid out his plans against them. And this Israel starts with the Israelite of the Most High, the Israel of God, which is the elect. Okay, because this deliverance that the Lord, all right, is going to do in America, spiritually, Egypt, aka spiritually Egypt and Babylon, is going to be a deliverance that's going to outdo ancient Egypt. Okay, and in the kingdom, these nations are going to be terrorized by the people of the Lord, the Israelites, and we're going to have rulership over them as they are going to be our slaves, man. It's inevitable. Thus say the scriptures, man. Okay, so let's go to the last precept here. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. All right, and I'm actually going to read this in the NLT as well. Okay, Habakkuk chapter 2, and let me start at 5. It says, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. Okay, starting with the top weekend elite, the international bankers, all right, Tiny Tops, Amalek, and and right down to America as well as the nation. Okay, that's an arrogant place, and they're never at rest, as you can see, always having their hands in someone else's backyard, stirring up trouble. All right, for the benefit of gain. So it says they open their mouth as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed many people, many peoples. Okay, it says, but soon their captives will taunt them. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing America and have been seeing America being taunted by those who were once captivated and captives, all right, of America, specifically by the financial system, right? America has been able to weaponize the dollar, holding these other nations in captivity, really, in a sense. But this also talks about us, right? Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, really, um, and then you speckled birds out there, really those that have this truth, okay? Um, as well. So let me continue. It says, they will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion, right? When you look at this word extortion, it really means the torsion means to twist X out. So you twist out. And what has America done to these nations? They've twisted out all these nations' natural resources, right? The labor of their people, everything, everything, man. Okay, the rest of the world gets fiat currency debt notes, all right, and the American people get hardware, right? Televisions, fridges, stoves, all kinds of things. But every other nation gets what? Debt notes because of the petrodollar, all right, mainly because of the petrodollar, really. That's the only thing really keeping the American dollar afloat or the dollar afloat. Okay. But as we're seeing, these nations are now turning their heads slowly and surely against this whore. And Trump is the man to do it. He's pissing everybody off. Okay. So it says, what sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? All right. Suddenly, your debtors will take action. And this is what we're seeing, right? All these other nations are taking action. Okay, they will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless, because you have plundered many nations. Now all the survivors will plunder you. This is what these nations are getting ready to do. And this is what's happening by proxy, right? With America in this war with Iran, because who's Iran allied with? China and Russia, Russia and China. So it's just really a proxy war against them. And with the amount of money that's being spent, America's being plundered, man. Okay? But it's about to get plundered from within. And you know what I mean, all right? Because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. Look at that. What sorrow awaits you who build big houses, okay, with money gained dishonestly? You believe your wealth will buy you security, and that's what America has thought, right? By the dollar. But this move by Iran by closing up the Strait of Hormuz, like this guy was talking about in the video, has basically indirectly signaled to the other nations, if you want to continue trading in American dollars, all right, it's not going to go well for you. So might as well switch it up, right? Because what happens when these nations stop trading for oil and the dollar? That's it. It's done. American dollar, America's going to collapse completely. The society will collapse, implode. Okay, so what sorrow awaits you who build big houses with money gained dishonestly? You believe your wealth will buy you security, putting your family's nest beyond the reach of danger. But by the murders you committed, you have shamed your name, right? The bombing of those children, right, in Iran, right? And so much more, so much more. All right. Just the history alone of America is based upon murder, rape, rob, and murdering. Okay. But by the murders you committed, you have shamed your name and forfeited your lives. Hmm. Through, through. Okay. The very stones and the walls cry out against you, and the beams in the ceilings echo the complaint. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption, right? All the invading of other countries and going in for a so-called regime change, but all you're doing is setting up a puppet leader so you can siphon all the resources of that country, all right, to yourselves. Give a fuck about the people living there, all right? You wage war, you bomb, you commit all kinds of violence and atrocities, and these people flee their country, come into America, and then you got the American people complaining about migrants. But your government lets them in. Anyway, the American people are the stupidest people on the planet Earth. Okay, so it says, what sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? Has not the Lord of heaven's armies promised that the wealth of the nations will turn to ashes? And we're seeing this, okay? Starting with Esau Edom and his beloved America, all right, the daughter of the Chaldeans. They work so hard, but all in vain. For as the waters fill the sea, you know what? Let me skip down. Just get right to the point at the last point here. And you know what? I'll read actually 15. The point was 16, but let me read 15. It says, what sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk, right? And you know, we apply this to first and foremost what they've done to us, right? By making us drunk off of these philosophies and lies, right? And then looking at our shame, okay? And mocking us for it, and then being accused of the brethren, talking about Esau, Edom. But we know that, pursuant to Jeremiah 50 and 7, that the whole nation is drunken of the wine of Babylon, right? And they are mad. So it says, what sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk? You force your cup on them by what? By the sword, violence, bloodshed, and deceit. Okay? On them, so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness. And isn't that what Trump is doing? Trump has been gloating. At one point, he's asking the NATO nations to jump in, all right, to help the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And then now he's saying that he don't need our help. He could do it all by himself. He's not afraid of anything. That's what he said. All right. In verse 16, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come, drink and be exposed. Drink from the cup of the Lord Yahweh's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. And that is exactly what we're witnessing with um Babylon the Great, aka America, man. All right, and all praise to Yahweh because prophecy is speaking rather than yelling, man. Okay. So that's it on that. Just want to make this straightforward. Lord willing was edifying to the whole full elect. I'm going to close by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And I've taught this word in truth and sincerity, and peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with the 144,000 that's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. Shalom.